finally April 1st, and I am not fooling. The Spellbinders Kit Clubs of the month are amazing. Hi everyone, I'm Rebecca Keppel, and in today's video I'll be sharing the brand new Spellbinders Card Kit of the month, the new Glimmer Kit of the month, the new Small Die of the month, Embossing Folder of the month, 3D Embossing Folder of the month, and Stitching Die of the month. Like I always say, that's a lot of product and it's going to be a lot of cards. So I will jump right into the card making and I'll tell you about the new products along the way. Usually I start with the quick and easy card kit, but I wanted you to see the stitching die of the month this month. This die cuts out sort of a centerpiece. This is not a stitching die. This has just got little accents. There's also a sentiment die and a shadow for you is what it says. And then you can cut out the negative or the positives. And then there are 3 different sizes that have stitching elements to them and they layer on top of each other. But the stitches are really easy, just straight stitches from the bottom hole to the top, and it goes very quickly. But they look amazing when they're all layered up. So if you have never done a stitching die before, this is a great one to start with because there are just not that many stitches on each piece and they're so large that it goes so fast. So I'll do a couple of them just to show you how easy it is, and then I'll speed it up because nobody wants me to watch me stitch for 15 minutes or whatever. It did not take me that long, but look at how cute that looks, especially with the cut elements, the little teardrop shapes. It really looks like a flower and petals. And so this is a great stitching die. I feel like it just has the cutest look to it, the prettiest look to it, and it's so easy to put together. So you can see, yes, I sped it up, but really I just sat here and did all of them in a row without taking that much time at all. Sometimes if it's a larger die or larger pieces and smaller stitches, I'll take it and I'll watch TV with it, but this I was able to just get right through, no problem. I'm going to use the embossing folder of the month for the background. It is a gorgeous floral, and with the white cardstock, it just has a very subtle look to it, but it's going to go really well with this stitching die. To put these together in a symmetrical format with the same on the top as on the bottom, you're going to layer them up. The middle is going to layer exactly to the bottom of the base one. Now, the third one is going to go a little bit further down. It's going to line up at the bottom of those teardrops. This will make a lot more sense when I show it to you up close. Now, this piece in the center, again, is going to layer around the bottom of those teardrops. I popped it up so I could put the bottom pieces right underneath. Now, you don't have to use a symmetrical look like this. You can just do the petals on top or the petals on the bottom, but it is amazing when you use both, and it really doesn't take that long to put this together. So there you go. Now you can see you've got the bottom, middle, and top piece, and then that center piece that just goes on top, and they just line up at the bottom of those teardrops. I cut out the For You, and I'm using the negative to just put right on top. Now you'll see that white die cut in the center. It has little spots where it perfectly fits that For You. And then I'm going to use from those positive pieces the cutout centers of the O's, and then at the very end I'll add the center of the R. I just lost it. It was just a tiny little piece and I just lost it. I'm using a tiny piece of pattern paper from the Quick and Easy Card Kit of the month right at the top, and then I'm going to include some of the die cuts from the Quick and Easy Card Kit, which I'll show you next, as well as some of the chipboard pieces. Now you don't need to add anything else to this because all the stitching and then that embossed background is so amazing all on its own, but I thought these little accents really added such a fun touch to it that it just all came together really, really well. There's lots of pinks, there's little touches of orange, and then I just trimmed it down to 4 by 5 1/4 so I could mat it on some pink cardstock that also came in the kit. And then there's that little R piece right in the center of that R bubble. I did put the positive R in there so I knew exactly where to line up that little centerpiece, and then just glued it in with some liquid glue. So again, I just adore this set. I would make 100 of these. They're so easy to make. Now let's take a look at Happy Skies Ahead. That's the quick and easy card kit of the month. For those of you who haven't seen the last few months, the card kit of the month does not include dies or stamps anymore. These are supposed to be quick and easy cards to pull together with embellishments. This one has chipboard letters with some foil accents on it. There are sequins this month. So there's lots of embellishments and easy things to quickly and easily pull together a bunch of cards. You can see these are the puffy stickers. They're all a bunch of sentiments and just little phrases. The cardstock is cut down into A2, which is what I do anyway when I have cardstock in a card kit. But you could also use these as a mat if you did want to create larger cards. Now, here's the pattern paper. You get a bunch of sheets. There's lots of different patterns and colors. Everything coordinates so beautifully together, and I love the pattern paper. There are chipboard stickers. There's 2 sheets of chipboard stickers. You have some sentiments. You have some images. This month, there's a bunch of strawberries, which I love. There's also just some fun elements, and here are the die cuts. And as always, you get 2 per shape, and there are about 1 billion in there. And I know that like going through that and organizing that can sometimes get a little stressful, but I promise just pull them all out and just go through them and have fun with them. And you'll see I'm going to make a bunch of cards just with all of these die cuts, as well as the chipboard stickers, some pattern paper, and cardstock. So again, these are quick and easy cards. I love that dress on the hanger. There's a cloud, a tiny little rainbow. Of course, I had to include that on the gingham large heart, and then the pattern paper matted on some of the cardstock. Just so quick and easy. The only thing that took a little time and gluing, because everything else was like basically self-adhesive, is the popping up of the die cuts and then the liquid glue for some sequins. And the sequins just add a really nice shiny touch if everything else that you're using is pretty basic. It just adds a little bit of shine and embellishment. Okay, this time I'm going to use pattern paper on top of pattern paper. I love these two together, the sort of organic whimsical dots on top of that pink plaid. There are plenty of birthday images in this die cut set as well. So I'm going to pop up some balloons, a little shake, a little orange soda, and a cake. So just bring a bunch of the same things together. There are also flowers. There's lots of different things that you could come up with to make different types of cards for different occasions. And then I just added a happy birthday flag to the top of those balloons. And once again, some of those sequins. I usually love the sequin color. I think this one is so much fun. It's a little bit more coppery than the pink in the kit, but that makes it more versatile. You can use it on different colors, not just the pinks in the kit, but it really stands out and adds lots of shine. For this card, I am going to cut down a piece of pattern paper to 4 by 5.5. So we'll just mat on the sides this time, and that pink cardstock is also in the kit. Here again, like I mentioned, you can pull out a bunch of flowers from the die cut. There are several colors, and all of these colors are really inside that rainbow pattern paper and in that chipboard sticker that says enjoy this at the top. So just add a few more chipboard stickers here. I have some hearts. They always have a mix of larger sizes and smaller sizes so that you can either accent or use as a focal point on your card. And then I like to add different textures. So I have a die cut texture, I have a shiny chipboard texture, and then I have the puffy sticker texture. Lots of textures add more interest when you're not doing something complicated like die cutting or other techniques. So you're using the quick and easy elements of the card kit, but you're making it look more interesting. Here is the small die of the month, and you can see I am cutting across the bottom of an A2 piece of cardstock from the card kit, and then I'm using the element that cuts out embellishment to it. Now there are also straight strips of embellishing. These all cut out a doily looking type of shape out of this cardstock. So you can see you can just work your way up from the bottom and create a very lacy effect, which is absolutely gorgeous. Then I'm going to use my Spellbinder tool-in-one, the brush side, to brush the back of that lace to get out any little bits that still remained. And I'm going to adhere this down on top of an A2 piece of white cardstock. You can see that this straight die would cut across straight of those straight elements, and this shape would cut out the bottom and two of the little elements on top. I'm going to use the 4U die from the last set, from the stitching die, and create a die cut that says 4U. It's in white with a gold shadow background. Then I will put the O's and the R back into that little die cut, and then I'll put some liquid glue in the open spaces, and then I'll press in those O centers and the R center, and that will make sure that those are lined up 100% right where they're supposed to be. And then just peel off the letters. The letters probably should not be glued down. Hopefully the glue didn't come out the sides and stick to your letter, but you can just get them right off. Just use a tiny bit of liquid glue in the center to adhere those centers down, and you can see that those will, again, place those exactly where you want them. I grabbed some die cuts from the card kit. I have that bird, which I thought was so cute, and I just popped that up. Then I'm going to pop up the 4U, and then I'm going to find a couple more die cuts to accent this card. So in that open space, I have some pears, and then I'm going to pop up a flower right on top of those, and then I'm going to flip it over and cut off anything that hangs off the side. Just a fun card. I absolutely love that doily effect that you can create with the small die. I showed you the embossing folder of the month before on some white cardstock. I'm going to do that again, but this time I'm going to emboss a 5x7. So these larger embossing folders can emboss those larger pieces of cardstock, so I thought I should take advantage of that and share that with you. Now this time I'm using the small die of the month. I cut out that shape, and I'm going to use the bottom, middle, and then another strip to cut this into a lacy doily effect that is on its own, so it's not part of the card. Again, I use that brush end of the tool-in-one to get out all those little bits. They make it really easy, and then if there's anything that's really stubborn, you can use the other side with the little point to just poke them out. I'm going to cut out a shadow of that shape in gold mirror cardstock so that I can adhere those together so that the white won't get lost on that back embossed white. So this is going to start to come together as an elegant lacy card, and I decided then that it would be a wedding or an engagement card. So I used the letters from the card kit to say congrats right on top of that lacy piece. Here's that straight die. It will cut side to side so that you have a strip of that whatever straight lacy piece you decided to cut out. So again, just a really simple card, came together very quickly, lots of elegance to it, and very simple to put together. This is the 3D embossing folder of the month. It's got kind of a quilted look to it where there are different patterns in blocks. Now, you could do one piece of paper and pick up different elements of that 3D embossing folder. What I'm going to do is cut out different spots of the 3D embossing folder in different colors of cardstock. So here's my pink. I have that bottom element. Here's my blue of the top element. And I'm also going to do a light blue. But first, I am going to cut down these pieces. So anywhere there's a sort of a bump or a line, I'm going to cut them instead of using them all together. So you have a couple of ways to use this embossing folder. It's a lot of fun. Once I had all my pieces cut, I decided to put them on a light pink cardstock. So I have the top glued flush to the top, the bottom glued flush to the bottom, and then some borders around the sides and in between the pieces. Then it's just adding some chipboard stickers. I decided to go more fun and whimsical with this one since we already did a couple of more elegant looks. This was just a fun pops of color, pops of cute little accents, and a really cute embossed card. Next up is the Glimmer Kit of the month, and the blush colored foil is gorgeous. This is the image. It's a bunch of leaves which are perfect for spring. They look like spring leaves, like new growth. And look at how beautifully they foil with all the little details on the leaves. There's also 2 sentiments in this set, as well as a die that cuts out some of the leaves. So I'll show you all of those as we get going on the card. I love to tape down my foil with a little bit of pixie tape on the sides to get the best impression of the foiling, especially with tiny little details like that sentiment. Here is the add-on for the Glimmer Kit of the month, and it is a 2-layered stencil, and each layer is on 1 stencil, which is great because it saves you some money. So I will use some cracked pistachio Distress Oxide ink. I love using Distress Oxides over foiling because they're so creamy and smooth, and you can brush away anything that's on the foil, that lays on the foil, and it will still shine. It will resist that Distress Oxide. So the second half of the stencil creates kind of the darker side of the leaf, and so I used a slightly darker green there. Now the die actually cuts out individual bunches of leaves, so you can see they're all individually cut. It's not cutting around the outside of those leaves. So those are the ones that it cuts out. Now you could do a whole pattern of leaves and then use the die cut ones as accents on top of that. I decided to cut them all out because I wanted all the same coloring. I loved the way that the inking came out. I am using the sentiment that says "have an unbelievable day" as the center of this card. It's popped up on some foam tape, and then I'll just use some liquid adhesive to adhere down those individual leaves. And I have the white cardstock matted on green cardstock that came with the easy and quick card kit as well. So this is a super simple card, but I love how this turned out. It is very springy and fresh. What do you think of this month's supplies? I'd love to hear if anything caught your eye. Let me know in the comments below. YouTube thinks you might be interested in checking out this video next. As always, I want to thank you so much for stopping by and spending time with me today. Please stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you again soon. That was like world record fast, like Guinness Book fast. So of course there'll be something wrong with it.